want to see just how easily Hollywood lets problematic men completely rebrand by getting sober. And, writing a memoir helps. I have been seeing so much about that man. And if you don't know who that man is, I am so jealous. Because that means you have never seen Full House or Fuller House, which is a show based on how it takes 3 men to raise children because they're just so bad at it. Anyway, I did not realize just how bad that guy is until he started trying to promote his silly little memoir. How this man still has a job. I honestly can't believe this man still is working and not in jail. But, that's how it goes in Hollywood. But I made the mistake of going into my little ADHD rabbit holes, and it is so much worse than I thought. I'm going to link one of my mutuals videos that first made me start questioning this man after seeing endless headlines about his memoir. But it's so much worse. It's so much worse that they count on us forgetting about all their bad behavior. And then they're just like, oh my God, I was abused as a child and I was an addict. Now I'm sober and everything's good. I'm a good boy now and I'm a dad. This dude admitted to grape. He admitted to grape. By that I mean literally facilitating a grape. Never even, proudly admitted to it. But let's go back a little bit. Because, all the themes that I talk about on here seem to intersect with this man. Deeply insecure, desperate for attention, especially the validation of women. Childhood trauma he won't deal with. Then becomes an addict that makes a nightmare for everyone in his life. Preying on younger girls. And my favorite is basically just hates women and is jealous of women because he will not deal with his trauma and he will not question the system of power that he was just born into. And so women pay the price. He was even jealous of a child, not his own child, his coworker. Anyway, apparently it wasn't until he wrote this memoir that he has been plugging nonstop for months that he ever thought, maybe I should think about my past. Maybe I should deal with my life. Since no one else seems to have made him deal with it, including the law, except for a DUI. For starters, this dude tried to get the Olsen twins fired. When he was on Good Guys podcast, which is so ironic. Nice guy, good guy. He's a nice guy now. I don't know anything about this podcast, but this man has literally rebranded him as the nice guy, good dad. The dude seems like a full-on predator to me, and you cannot convince me otherwise based on all the things I'm going to show you. So, because the babies were crying, he's like, this is not going to work. Get rid of them. It was hard to get the shot, so he's like, get them out. And then he says they brought in a couple of unattractive redheads. Can you imagine being so misogynistic that you even think baby women are ugly? He said he just couldn't deal with the twins' constant crying. This man crying about babies crying. He also, criticized them publicly when they wouldn't come back to this dumb show. I'm sorry, I grew up with Full House. I always hated it, but loved it. The laugh track, the humor was kind of dumb. And then they rebooted it, and I was like, God. And he was so mad that they didn't come back to this show. And he was, tweeting at them, harassing them. Didn't understand why these girls who've been exploited since they were literal babies, Google Olsen twins. See how many movies those children made. I hope they are having peace out of the public eye. God! This one show was from when they were infants to 8 years old. But he was angry that they were skipping the reboot. Look, he aggressively trolled them online. He called bullshit when they were like, but why would they not want to come back to the show? Could it be that apparently the men, Bob Saget, John Stamos, and what's his butt, had a questionable and highly inappropriate behavior in front of child stars. Using vulgar language and talking about schmegs in front of these kids. Allegedly had a stash of Playboy magazine. He was also battling an addiction. And y'all know, even though I criticize addicts really hard on here, I have an enormous amount of sympathy for them. I've also dealt with my own addiction. But when men with power have addictions, their addictions go unchecked. And they have a long list of people, usually women, who have suffered at the hands of their refusal to deal with their addiction. So apparently, all the kids, except maybe Candace, I don't know, she's like a Jesus freak now, like her brother. So, Jodie Sweetin was apparently a raging addict. She woke up in John Stamos's bed with Ashley Olsen after doing a bunch of meth. At Candace Cameron's wedding, Jodie Sweetin barfed all over the bathroom and then continued to drink and smoke and snort and exit. Wow. She has known this man since she was 5 years old. Uncle Jesse, by the way, was like a bad boy who reformed by getting married and having kids with Aunt Becky, who then in real life went on to do a whole college scandal. Like, this whole crew is a mess. I mean, honestly, if I had time to dive deeper, I would. It's already overwhelming to begin with. Him and, Bob Saget here were like BFF addicts. Go partying in Vegas, they end up in bed together, whatever. Bob Saget, by the way, used to use a blow-up child doll and do schmegsual gestures with it in front of the crew to get people to laugh like, y'all are whatever. I worked on crews on films and TV shows. I know the sense of humor. I get it. But given everything else, I'm like, okay. Like, this woman has so many problems. I can't even go into her. But it sounds like one of her first problems was this dude. From the very beginning, he hated her. He was jealous of her, which we're going to see later on happen with his wife. He's all like, she came in to read her lines, and the people are dying laughing. I mean, screaming. And I was like, what's happening here? What did that mean? I was sinking into my chair. You couldn't even hear my line. They were laughing just so hard at her, the 5-year-old. So then he calls his agent and he's like, get me the fork off this show. Dude tried to quit because he was so threatened by a child. Maybe this is where Sweeten's problem started. She married a cop, but smoked meth behind his back all the time. Anyway, apparently Jodie Sweetin saved his life. He's like, thank God my wife never had to see me this way. Or my child. Because Jodie saved the day like a good codependent. Look, she's the one organizing 12 Steps meeting for Uncle Jesse while they're at work. Girl, go to a codependency meeting. Why are you organizing this for him? He has a history of screwing over women, okay? In his memoir, which he wrote after he was sober, he did this whole story about his ex, how she cheated with Tony Danza, how he walked in on them cheating. And she was like, what are you talking about? We were broken up. You never came in my house or found me with no clothes on. Like, none of this happened. By the way, his mom had told her that he would never marry her, and that's what broke them up. Sounds like he's got a toxic boy mom. See, boom, another intersection there. And he was like, what? I would have married you. Your mom ruined it for you. Which is also really funny because when he was talking about all these people in his book, he apparently did not talk to any of them before saying all this stuff. And he's all like, in AA, we have to take a 4th step and talk about stuff. Bro, I know a lot of people in the recovery world. I know a lot about the steps. This is not that step behavior. Like, lying about people from your past and talking crap about them in a book without even talking to them, that seems like you don't even know what recovery is, bro. Because she was pissed seeing him carelessly throw me out there like a dirty dish rag for people just to make fun of me. It was super harmful, like whatever. Like, this woman was just living her life in peace. And he writes this memoir and he's like, I caught her cheating with Tony Danza. It was all a lie. Or perhaps maybe he doesn't remember things correctly because he's drunk all the time. I'm pretty sure that he's like not even supposed to be talking about this stuff. Makes me think he doesn't really have recovery. Anyway, back to his mom, who ruined his relationship with that woman he threw under the bus. His mom said that he decided to be an actor somewhere between being born and arriving home from the hospital. He was a kid obsessed with Disneyland and was intent on being famous. It never occurred to him he wouldn't be. You know who else talked about how badly he wanted to be famous? Matthew Perry. But Matthew Perry did women a favor. He never married any women. He kept trying to date them. And like I've done in other videos, the women who've dated him are like, that man, dating him was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life kind of thing. But he never had kids to torture. And he never legally tied himself to a woman to torture. But he also wrote a memoir and aired all this laundry about people and even criticized Keanu Reeves. Like, what? So I wish men stop letting men who are sick and not really haven't healed enough write memoirs as if they are like these great guys and then go on a tour talking about how amazing they are and rebrand themselves. Because Uncle Jesse here not only was like a terrible husband, admittedly, because he was jealous of his wife, which I'm going to go into in part 2. I'm almost done, but I don't have enough time to finish now. He also is an admitted rapist, like I said before, and also would hit on teenage girls. He is out here living his best life, having the New York Times write about him and his struggle with not being Uncle Jesse. Poor guy had to be Uncle Jesse so long. The role that literally gave him his whole career, he hates that he had to do that. He was also jealous of the kids. All of these men get to just do whatever they want, claim they were abused as children, which I'm going to go into in a second, prey on younger girls, and now he's a dad!